So just for a second, if you're born in 1910, you don't have to be a historian to think about this, and those first 20 years are protected. People born in 1910 were born at a time when World War I was going on, but then we went and solved the war, won the war, came back and had the roaring 20s, had this incredible economy, right? So when they're 10 years old, the economy's going crazy. We got all this new technology. We got cars, we got planes, we got radio, we got television. And that generation was called flappers, because they were looked down on like a lot of, let's say, Z generation or millennials are by X generation people or sometimes baby boomers, because they didn't have to go through the tough times, right? And they didn't. They frankly didn't. But what happened to that kid born in 1910 and 1929 when he's 19 thinking he's going to go get a car and he's going to go get a party? The whole world turned upside down. The Depression, people jumping out of buildings, the Dust Bowl, people standing in line for bread. And by the way, they made it through 10 years of depression. Now, that doesn't mean every day is dark. You know, you can be in winter and have beautiful days. 31, 32 were nice times. But the overall thing was testing, and they became strong because they had to be. Then right when they turned 29, 1939, what happens? World War II. You and I weren't alive then, but anybody who was alive then, it looked like the world was ending. Hitler was taking over countries in days, blitzkrieging everywhere. And so what happened is that generation volunteered and went to war, and they won the war, and they came back the heroes. They're now known as the greatest American generation, and they were known as flappers and losers. What made them strong was pushing through winter. Everybody, listen to me now, everybody goes through winter if they live 80 years plus.
You don't have a choice.
It's just which season. Are you going to do it in the early stage, the middle stage, late stage?
It's coming.
But watch this. Think about those people. They come home, and think how the world changes when after winter, it's now springtime, and the vets are now moving out to the suburbs, and they get basically a free down payment on the home, and we have all these new technologies. Think about the 50s and early 60s until Kennedy is killed. There's a level of optimism in this country that's amazing. Springtime. After Kennedy and Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King, it's a different world. It's a testing summer where young and old fight each other. It happens every 80 years. Generational fights. I'm not going to war. It was a completely different mindset. Those people raised kids differently than they did. They weren't around. They were doing their mission or doing their whatever their love in, and so their kids became latchkey kids. Kids that were let themselves in the house and watch the television, have fun for themselves, so they developed different values as a generation, the X generation, more pragmatic. If you ask people during the 60s and 70s, which they did in the universities, what's more important, a philosophy of life that will make you happy, or the pragmatic skills to make you financially secure or free? 82% said philosophy of life.
Wow, 60s,
80s, 90s, 2000s, they asked the same question, complete reversal. 81% saying, no, pragmatic skills to be financially free. And what season are we in now? Winter. And when it's winter, everything's exaggerated. It's World War III, we're all gonna die. Some of the same things were happening before. You don't have that mindset. It's a fear time. We're about 3/4 of the way through it if you study historians, for attorney guys, various people will tell you that. We still have to go through some more economic challenges.